So recently, we saw the release of the first trailer for the upcoming Disney film Wish, which is scheduled for release on the 22nd of November this year. And according to the official synopsis, asks the question, how did the wishing star, which so many Disney characters wished upon, come to be? Set in the magical kingdom of roses, the story introduces Asha, an optimist with a sharp wit who cares deeply about her community. When Asha turns to the sky in a moment of need and makes a wish, her plea is answered by a cosmic force, a boundless little ball of energy called Star. Together, they face the most formidable of foes to save her community and prove that when the will of one courageous human connects with the magic of the stars, wondrous things can happen. So yeah, pretty vague, but I guess it feels like it's there to serve as a bit of a prequel to basically every Disney film ever. And from what I understand from the comments made by Disney and the creators about the film, it's meant to be a celebration of just all things Disney. A celebration put to screen. Something to celebrate the centenary of the company itself, and pat themselves on the back for a job well done. And so we know there are going to be a lot of Easter eggs and references to previous Disney films, and we know that they're going to be combining animation techniques. The classical 2D traditional animation style, but also the more modern computer-generated look, combining both visual eras of Disney filmmaking together as one. So, seems like quite an ambitious passion project. And I'm really hyped for it actually. And I do think they have a lot riding on this film. Disney really does need it to do well. Not because they're going to go bankrupt or anything like that, I'm not ridiculous, but their last couple attempts have not gone very well. A lot of box office underperformance, and lacking a lot of the critical acclaim that they got last decade. And with films like Super Mario starting to make some serious money, I think Disney really does want to reassert themselves. The 2010s were their decade. The 2020s? Not so much. They've fallen off quite a bit. So I think they want this to do well for itself, and I do think it has potential to do so. But anyway, enough of that. Let's take a look at the trailer. Okay, for starters with the trailer, as soon as it starts, you get the Chris Pine voiceover, and you see that landscape. My god, I was hooked. Seriously, the cityscape, it looks so unique and interesting. So clearly that's where we're going to see the blending of traditional and computer animation. And honestly, it feels so nostalgic. I think one of the big qualities of the early Disney films, especially the ones that Walt Disney himself worked on, stuff like Snow White and Pinocchio, is that it really does have that storybook quality. Like you're stepping right into a childhood fairy tale, right into your book. And whilst the more recent films do have that fantastical quality somewhat, and are very good in various different ways, I feel like that storybook element is one of those aspects of Golden Age Disney that has been lost. Jungle Book's probably the last one that really had that same vibe. The Renaissance and the Revival eras are great. They're grand and exciting and flamboyant, but they don't have that same feel. Not better, not worse, just not the same, if you get what I mean. And that's both in design and in content. Now, I'm sure that in terms of content, this film is not going to feel like a Golden Age movie. Narrative design is far different now. People have different tastes. And those Golden Age films have aged quite a lot when you just look at the story itself. But in terms of visuals, those watercolor backgrounds, they kicked off the nostalgia in that very same way as those classic films. But at the same time, they also look very different to any other film in Disney's library. And in all honesty, I'm really looking forward to this new trend where they mix and match animation styles to create something fresh. Something I'm really excited for. But that being said, I'm also not 100% sold on this one. At times in the trailer, whilst it does look great, it can also look, I don't know, at other times the computer animated character models do feel a little bit out of place compared to the backgrounds. Like they've been superimposed in, green screened. You know when you watch a movie that has an obvious character that is not interacting with the other actors? It's like that. A little bit unfinished, and maybe it'll look different in cinemas. But at the moment, whilst I do like the concept, I'm worried that the 2D, 3D effect could turn out to be a bit of a mismatch. I mean, it's not all the time, but there are some scenes in the trailer where it all flows seamlessly and looks really great, and then at other times it just falls flat. But yeah, holy shit, beyond that, the actual 2D backgrounds, they are so good. Like when she's looking out at the city in the palace at night, at least I think that's a palace. It's just an incredible shot. And yeah, the more you watch the trailer, the more I'm starting to realize that I think the film just needs that little bit of extra polish, and it's gonna be a visual masterpiece. They just need to blend it a bit more, I think. As for the plot, the trailer doesn't really show much at all. It starts off with a brief bit of voiceover from the king, talking about how this is a land where all wishes come true, and then interestingly, the king pretty much reveals himself as the main villain. At least, I think that's what he did. And that's something a bit different, as the last decade or so has really seen a whole bunch of animation studios lean into the surprise villain twist. Especially Disney. Frozen, Zootopia, Big Hero 6, Moana had a twist in that the villain was actually a good guy in the end. Wreck-It Ralph, that had a twist. So yeah, harkens back to the good old days, where the movie straight up tells you who the villain is from the get-go. It's more about the journey, not subverting expectations or doing something new. I mean, maybe there is a twist, but I don't know, I'm kind of over them. And I mean, look at the dude's eyes. Those are evil eyes. But yeah, like I said, doesn't really explain much. It's not really clear who Asha is. And is that how you say it? Asha? Not really sure. Anyway, it's not really clear who she is. I mean, she has a cool character design, but is she a princess? A peasant? Just some random? Clearly she's notable enough to actually get an audience with the king, but I don't know, sometimes fairy tale logic is not exactly watertight, so who knows? And then we get to the part of the trailer where they once again lean on a tried and tested Disney trope, the cutesy animal sidekick. And also, the star. I guess he sort of counts as a cutesy sidekick. Even if he isn't an animal, he's very cute. Star arrives, starts giving out wishes, which gets the goat to speak with a very deep voice, and you know, it was a very stupid joke. Very stupid. And yet, it made me laugh. And I think it just made me laugh for the subversion of the trope more than anything else. The little animal characters never talk. And if they do, it's in a very high and sweet voice. Either that or cute little animal sounds. So for it to be this really manly sort of voice, really deep, it's the right type of silly. Beyond that, there really isn't much narrative or character substance to this trailer at all. We don't learn anything, but I think I like that. I'm really glad that we're back to moving away from the trend of spoiling every little thing in the trailer. Here, it's just about building the vibes. Setting the tone of the story, getting you hyped up, and being as stereotypically Disney as it possibly can. That's the gist of the latter half of this trailer. An epic song, pretty flowers, nature shots, a reminder that the studio created a bunch of childhood classics to get you in the mood for more, hype text talking about how this is the culmination of Disney's entire history, lots of birds and butterflies and colours, our hero riding off into the sunset, and another of her staring up at the stars, fireworks. Basically, if you've seen it in a Disney film, it's turning up in this trailer. All just to hype you up for the film itself, which I'm sure will be crammed with even more references. And I think it does work. It really does distract from the fact that this trailer tells you nothing. And so you come away from it feeling quite excited, or at least I did. For the most part, despite the lack of substance, it has a lot of that nostalgia Disney quality. And I think that's going to carry through the finished product, or at least I hope so. But yeah, with all that being said, there's really not much else to say. It was a pretty nothing trailer, but I loved it all the same. And so I'll remind you that these have been my opinions, and I'd like to hear yours. What do you think of the trailer? You like it, hate it? You excited for the film? I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know.